The most chilling moment of Mammon's magnificent mid-season special was when he went full beast mode and threatened to Asmodeus that he would regret this. Today I want to discuss what that would look like, not just for him and Fizzarale, but for Stolas and Blitz, who will inevitably get wrapped up in this as well. My name is Deepcut, welcome back to Cartoon Universe, and please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is literally right there, and according to some statistics I just made up, only 2 of you, yes, only 2 of you, are actually subscribed to this channel, and the rest of you people are just coming back due to browsing recommendations. Become the exception. Subscribe. Now, Asmodeus is the ruler of the Lust Ring and is supposed to be the embodiment of lust himself. As part of his brand, if you will, Asmodeus advocates for lust over love. When Moxie sings about how much he loves Millie at his nightclub, Asmodeus and Fizz interrupt, singing their own song about how lovey-dovey stuff turns them off, and that lust is only lust when it's without romance. Moxie and Millie win this fight by beating Fizzarale over the head and singing about how they like to be in love but also still be lustful. This led to Asmodeus and Fizz pretending to hate it, but also canoodling. In Season 2, we would learn that they are essentially in a romantic relationship and just play off being only interested in each other sexually when others are around. The newspapers were even speculating that Fizz and Ozzie were dating and that this made them hypocrites for the general lifestyle that they promote. The reason Fizz met Asmodeus was through Mammon, it seems, and more specifically through the contract that Mammon provides. By the time Asmodeus met Fizz then, he seemed to be decked out in all of his clown makeup and gear, making him the costumed caricature of himself that most of Hell fell in love with. Because of this, Fizz was extremely worried that Asmodeus wouldn't love him if he failed to win the annual contract in Mammon's contest. This fear resonates with a lot of people, as while none of us have quite the fame that Fizz has in Hell, we all understand what it's like to build up a certain version of yourself based on your accomplishments, and when those stop, people can lose interest. It doesn't tend to happen in a cartoony fashion, with someone just breaking up with you right after you lose a contest, but rather, slowly and over time, people begin to treat you different as the perks and intrigues of being you as they first knew you begins to fade away along with that part of your life. This can even happen as a person transitions from one form of success to another, with people being attracted to certain versions of you as seen through the particular success that they respected. With Asmodeus' assurance, however, Fizz goes out to win the contest before promptly quitting his job and refusing the contract that he so clearly won, embarrassing Mammon in front of everyone. This angered Mammon so much that he tried to ruin their lives by exposing their relationship to the public in front of everyone as well. This guy is evil, don't get me wrong, but Fizz did air their dirty laundry out on stage, and at the very least, he should have expected this in return. However, Asmodeus coming to the defense of Fizz and the revelation that they were in a relationship just made the fans love them more. By not having them be in a public relationship when they first started seeing each other, but instead keeping it only sexual, they created a desire within their fanbase for them to connect on a deeper level. And this became the ultimate reveal for the millions or even billions of demons who follow either Asmodeus or Fizz's story. With this monstrous failure, Mammon threatens that Asmodeus will regret this before disappearing in an awesome explosion that torches the most dedicated parts of his own fanbase. This is the ultimate metaphor for what I expect to happen with Mammon as the show continues, which is Mammon trying to deliver on his threat, causing horrible damage as he does so, but ultimately causing more damage to himself. But how exactly would Mammon go about getting revenge if the rest of Hell seems to love Asmodeus and Fizz being an item? Getting a personal revenge on Fizz would be too simple, and with Asmodeus stepping in to ruin things for him, it makes sense that the best way to hurt Fizz and Asmodeus is to try and hurt Asmodeus himself, trying to prove Mammon as so powerful that even another deadly sin has to bow down in fear of him. This seems to be the mindset that Mammon has in general, considering he not only got the courts to allow him to legally rip off Lucifer's theme park, Lulu World, but he even whines and complains and plays the victim about the situation while trying to claim Lucifer is his close friend. Mammon uses whatever he can to win. He's the only prince who doesn't seem to have some sense of integrity and standard of how to conduct themselves. Mammon will go from trying to attack you to trying to publicly shame you, and from there, I think Mammon will get more personal. Asmodeus is one of the 7 deadly sins, so ultimately they are somewhat equal in that hierarchy and mostly just have power in their own rings. However, Asmodeus is also a king in the hierarchy of the Ars Goetia, a separate form of nobility that Stolas and his family belong to as well. This would make you think that Asmodeus has more power and sway in Hell as a whole, but it also means he has more people of power to answer to. Mammon is not in the Ars Goetia and doesn't even have to answer to Lucifer in his own ring, where he can do clear copyright infringement. Asmodeus as a king in the Ars Goetia is just one of 9 kings, with the highest ranking being Baal. Above Asmodeus also appears to be Paimon, who is known in the real-life Ars Goetia as being the most loyal to Lucifer. In the show, Paimon definitely seems to have a high position in the Ars Goetia and seems much more concerned with the duties and the family lines than Asmodeus. Asmodeus is a king in the Ars Goetia, but is ultimately going to have to answer to the Ars Goetia as a whole about his duties, the same way princes like Stolas have to as well. Therefore, if Mammon wanted to cause trouble for Asmodeus, the easiest way to do so would be to report to a higher-up in the Ars Goetia who might be able to give Asmodeus trouble, and the most logical on-screen choice would be Paimon. Paimon is concerned, more than anything, with the works of conquering Earth, it seems, what with the duties he gives to Stolas to study the prophecies of the stars to help Hell. With that in mind, Paimon may not really be concerned about Asmodeus and Fizz dating, as it doesn't affect his work, and he can see that the succubus are working hard at spreading lust up on Earth. He may find it tasteless and gross and unbecoming for him to date Fizz, but as the sin of lust, Paimon really may just shrug it off. I think this is an important possibility because Paimon is connected not just to Asmodeus, but to his son Stolas, who is also dating a lowly imp and who is actually the main character of this show. The great thing about Vivzy Pop's work is that they tend to become about all the characters, with some getting more focused than even the ones introduced initially as main characters. And while I don't think this is becoming the Fizz and Asmodeus show, I think it is definitely the Fizz and Asmodeus arc, and Blitz will still need to have a reason to be connected to it. This last episode was able to throw him in as a bodyguard for Fizz, and that basic idea can continue. But to make the show about Blitz and Stolas again, I think Paimon needs to be convinced that this is a problem with his own son, and then, to not be a hypocrite, he will have to go after Ozzie and Fizz's relationship as well. Perhaps having a softer spot for his son somewhere, Paimon will make an example out of Asmodeus first, showing Stolas that even a king in the Ars Goetia can't go against Paimon's will, with Stolas being of lower rank, only a prince. From here, it's hard to say what would happen. There could be a lot of episodes about the politics and social issues of Hell, with Ozzie and Fizz dealing with the rejection of the other elites and the royal demons. Or perhaps they will really have to separate for a while and we will experience that tragedy. Stolas will also have to deal with his relationships, not just the one he has with Blitz, but the one with Stella and Octavia as well. And Drealfist seems to have really dark plans for Stolas and Octavia, but Paimon's may just be to put Stolas back into the prison of a marriage he was in with Stella, insisting that this is the only way that Paimon can be sure that Stolas isn't sneaking around with imps again. After the introduction of Paimon in the Season 2 premiere, I have to imagine he is going to be important to the story in some way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to connect with the other subplots that we have going on. While a lot of the story of Helluva Boss appears to be a never-ending line of villains coming together to get revenge on the IMP gang, a lot of them may be addressed separately instead of all at the same time in a climax, and we may see the plots of Paimon and Asmodeus and Fizz not connect with each other or with the other people who want the IMP gang dead, at least any more than they already have, like with Crimson and Stryker. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.